Hello there, football fans. Welcome once more to the Mercurial Trequartistas Gamecast, your weekly dose of Premier League passion, predictions, and proper football talk. By way of introduction, I'm Datan, and joining me is the man who could run recruitment for half the Premier League, but kindly chooses to share his wisdom here instead. Mark, how are we feeling?
Well, this week I managed to save a football with my eyeball. So 10 hours in A&E and yeah, some interesting side effects. I think the jokes have got worse. In fact, you could say they've got cornea.
Brilliant.
I'll get me hat. I'm gone.
No, no, stay. There's a lot to discuss today. So what's on the menu? As always, we will start with Premier League talking points. We will then move on to our second segment, which is fantasy football tips for the weekend ahead, and we shall round things off with our third section, which is the obscure facts segment, which it can be compared to our own academy graduate that's developing nicely into the team's star player. So let's start with Premier League talking points. Much to talk about as always. The first talking point, straight into it. Arne Slot. Mark, what's going on at Liverpool?
There's a lot happening, isn't there? And the run has not been great. Uh, I think with most of the time when we have been talking about Liverpool, we have sort of used the caveat that the Jota situation is unique. You don't know how that's going to affect players, staff, long term, or throughout the season. And if there is an issue with grief or being able to cope with that kind of loss, and it is spilling out into performances on the pitch, then the management staff there certainly have a duty of care to make sure the players are being looked after. Whether that means counselling, grief counselling, or any other kind of support, that's only they'll know what they need and what help to help you know work through this kind of thing. Grief is one of them things where it can kind of put things into perspective. Things that should matter seemingly don't matter anymore, and it affects lots of different people in lots of different ways. If we're looking at things tactically and how things are developing on the pitch, it's clear that something's not quite working. So if we're moving the sort of the psychological, emotional things to one side and looking purely at what's happening on the pitch, there's plenty of things that used to happen for that team that aren't happening anymore. There doesn't seem to be much of an effective press going on. Decision making is a little off. Incision and incisive play isn't as effective as it can be. And when you start adding these things up, that's when, the result goes the other way. And if it happens over multiple games, that's when you end up in a bad run. Unfortunately, the situation now for this streak is pretty bad. It's you're basically in an emergency mode kind of thing where only wins will do now. Winning is the only way out of this. Whether that means sort of tweaking the strategy, adapting the strategy, or seeing the return of, I don't know, cutthroat slots. The slot that hold Kanza off after half time. You know, if the performances of individuals isn't there, you're gonna have to start playing the players that are bringing some kind of form in and just scrap the way out of the run. We were looking at the fixtures after the international break. They were the fixtures that you would think are the potentials for getting a run together, and getting out of the mess. It hasn't quite gone to plan. The Forest game was, that wasn't great. The PSV game was worse. there's now 3 games coming up where historically Liverpool have had good results. You basically got West Ham, one defeat in 20 previously, Leeds, Sunderland. Those are games that they should be winning. If they can get those wins there, the league's that congested. 3 points between fourth and 12th. 3 good wins, and things can look a lot different.
I think for several weeks we have both stated confidently that he won't be sacked. It's not the Liverpool way, and I'm going to limit my analysis on this subject to 2 points. The PSV game on Wednesday was a little different, and by that I mean the comparison that I would wish to draw with two other great Liverpool managers of the last 20 years, namely Rafa Benitez and Jurgen Klopp, is as follows. I can remember with Rafa that when he was the coach, Liverpool would soundly thrash Real, Barca, and any Spanish team which crossed their paths. I can remember the 4-0 beating of Madrid in 2008. I can remember the way they dominated, overturned, and defeated Barca at the Nou Camp in 2007 after Bellamy showed everyone his best Tiger Woods impression. With regards Klopp's teams, they would always get the better of Bayern and Dortmund. But the point I'm trying to make is that I was genuinely surprised that Slot failed to beat a team from Holland. This is a league that he's cut his teeth on. He's played there for most of his life. He knows it inside out. That to me genuinely was a surprise. The second point on the flip side of that is that Slot has a 63% or so win rate throughout his career. He is an exceptional coach. There's no other way to put it. But nobody looking in from the outside can put their finger on what's going on. But something is definitely not right at Anfield.
Yeah, I mean, the post-match interview with Curtis Jones, I mean, that kind of said a lot without maybe going into too much detail. There was frustration there, and it could have been frustration with tactics. He was making comparisons to previous Liverpool sides. If it is tactics and the players are against the tactics, then yeah, something's got to be resolved. If there's kind of disconnect between the players and the tactics, something's not okay. Liverpool have historically not been a sacking club. In fact, I mean, you're talking about 2 managers in the history of the Premier League that have gone in January. Yeah, I think Souness after an FA Cup defeat to Bristol City and Roy Hodgson.
Yeah.
Now, both of those managers haven't had as runs as bad as this, but Slot's a league-winning manager. This is a little different for me. I think if they make the move now and they remove the coach, chances are you're looking at an interim manager. There may be a short-term bounce. Historically, that's all you get. All of the clubs that have sacked a league-winning manager in the past, Ranieri for Leicester, Conte for Chelsea.
Yeah.
We're looking at short-term bounces, but overall, the job, the rebuild job, we're not talking about, quick success.
Mm.
We're talking of periods of instability. It's a risk. If there's a move made now, an interim's appointed, or are you waiting for the right guy to be available? I don't know. You've got to gauge risk and reward here.
Mm.
I think the only way forward now is on the pitch. And the game's coming up,
Mhm.
golden opportunities. They have to be taken.
Some people might argue that the games are easy. I argue to the contrary. West Ham at the London Stadium. Nuno's team is clicking into gear. Nuno's a really good coach. He's an
Oh yeah.
experienced coach in the Premier League. That's going to be a very difficult game for them. I think they have Leeds and Sunderland coming up. Sunderland are in brilliant form. Arsenal found it so hard playing them recently. That is not going to be an easy game. Leeds might be a bit of respite, but with the greatest of respect to them, if Liverpool struggle to beat a team that, in all likelihood, may be destined for the drop come the end of the season, if they struggle with that, that's indicative of the state of the club at the moment.
Well, this is the problem, isn't it? This kind of run, all of a sudden, there is no easy game. On paper, the Liverpool West Ham record is one defeat in 20.
Mm,
Uh, I think, you know, Sunderland leads typically what I think one in 14.
mm,
So, they have lost to those teams in the past,
yeah.
but get bad results in those. And I think the pressure ramps up and then there will be big decisions to be made. But if they are going to turn around and if Slot plays for it with his job, then I think probably questions have to be asked elsewhere. Why invest so much money to destabilize a league winning side?
I was
Who
I
made
was
that decision?
I was just about to ask you exactly that. Do you think it's the way they've bought? But yeah, I mean you've hinted at this already. So they have spent a lot of money, and people we know who are fans of Liverpool, a lot of them are saying the same thing. How can we spend all this money, be in a worse position compared to where we were back in May when we lifted the trophy? And it's a valid question.
Yeah. I mean, there is a glimmer of hope. I mean, City last year, they had a run where they were 1 in 13, one win in 13 matches. They did manage to get it together and they did manage to get third. So, even if the league is beyond them, it's probably a little easier this year. It's so congested, it's so tight. 3 points can shift a team way up there.
Yeah,
So, you know,
yeah.
if positive results can come in the next few games, could
Mhm.
be a completely different picture by January. If it's not a completely different picture by January, then the pressure is going to be huge.
I'll also say that I think if Jurgen Klopp was still in charge, there wouldn't be this much of a clamour. So there wouldn't be so much pressure. People would just accept that things would get
Yeah.
better. I think Slot needs to be given credit for what he achieved last year. And as you said rightly, what's the benefit of a short-term bounce? They have they have a coach there who he's proven he has a very, very high win rate throughout his career. Can they do any better? It's highly unlikely. I mean,
Klopp had a
except,
defiance as well
mm,
when things were going wrong. If he was asked, yeah, I mean, there was a press conference where he was asked flat out,
yeah,
"Do you believe in your ability to turn this around?" And he just defiantly just went, "Yes." And
mm,
that was it. Next question. Slot has more of an affable kind
mm,
of nature going on. The
mm,
press conference yesterday, I didn't see defiance, but I
mm,
saw somebody who was measured and calm.
mm. Yeah,
He knows what situations he is in.
yeah,
He knows what will get him out of it. Now it's just a case of will it happen on the pitch? Big
spot
games
on,
coming up.
spot on. Well, a lot to talk about there. This story is going to run and run, but if we move on to story number two, again, these are two great and historic clubs of English football. It's to do with Sheffield Wednesday and Sheffield United. So, in the last 48 hours, we've been hearing rumours of a merger in between these two old Sheffield clubs. The owners of Sheffield United, an organisation called COH, apparently they have contacted the administrators for Sheff Wednesday, sparking speculation about a possible merger. Again, as with Liverpool, what the hell is going on, Mark?
It sounds like madness, doesn't it? I mean, they've just had the Sheffield Derby as well. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a rivalry. That match wasn't the match between two clubs that you would expect to be merging in what, a matter of weeks. And there was different rumors about how it was going to look as well. I mean, at one point, was it looking like it was going to be the same owner, two different clubs?
Mm.
That can't happen. And if it is a merger, I mean, this will be the highest profile merger of its kind in the English league. I mean, we've had them before with lower league clubs. You've got Bury AFC and Bury FC. Russian and Diamonds were the result of a merger back in the 90s.
Mm.
Uh, Ebbsfleet was Gravesend and
Yes,
Northfleet, wasn't it?
I think so, yes.
So you can see why they happen at the lower end of the tables. something about this doesn't really feel right. I mean, never mind the fact that what are you going to call it? Sheffield United Wednesday, Sheffield Wednesday United, just Sheffield.
Look,
And
I
what
mean,
kit? Is it going to be
what
blue
kit?
and red? there's
Look,
there's a lot to
to
consider here. S- I don't know. I don't feel like it's a good move. I'd be very surprised if it goes through. I mean, isn't the ownership of Sheffield United? I mean, that's not exactly calm at the moment.
Hmm.
What happens if they buy him out and it doesn't work? They both of them go down, and all of a sudden Sheffield have lost both clubs.
Look, to me, the idea of a merger, um, through the eyes of the people at Sheffield, it's just implausible locally. And for anyone in the C-suite who's thinking about this, it just shows a clear lack of understanding of the football culture in Sheffield. As you said, it's a very, very proud footballing city. And as I've just said, it's got two very, very old and ancient teams, historic teams in English football. The other thing is that from a regulatory point of view, I cannot see any way that the EFL are going to approve this. There's just no way whatsoever. So what they're thinking of, I don't know. That's but yeah, let's see what happens. Should we move on to story number three? And
Oh,
this,
why not?
this is a positive one. So it's about Arsenal, who have been hugely impressive. They've been dominant, and Arteta's team have also been able to capitalise on the missteps of rivals, which to me is always the hallmark of a very, very good team. Declan Rice and Gyökeres are firing on all cylinders. Eze is becoming a very humble and effective star, and they have a very, very mean and efficient defence. They've built good momentum both domestically and in Europe. How do you rate them at this stage of the season, Mark?
Ooh. Arsenal so far this season, uh, adequate. They've been all right.
Talk about being the master of understatement there, but
I am kidding. No, they've had a great start to the season. Eze has really looked at force in the last few games, and you sort of saw that in his England appearances as well.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah, they're looking good. Uh, I think as far as they're concerned, and where seasons have gone a little bit off in the past, they're probably coming up to their key period. December got a bit shaky last season. Uh, they'd lost Saka shortly after that. So I don't know. I'll be surprised. I'll be surprised if it doesn't come together and doesn't work out for them by the end of the season.
Hmm.
But at this stage, you know, it looks like a nice lead at the top, six point lead. If you lose to one of your rivals chasing you, and you lose one other game, all of a sudden it's title on. How they go with nerves or the title jitters then, we'll have to see as the season progresses. But
Hmm.
up to this point, they have looked very, very good. Uh, Rice has been a force. Eze's been great. Yeah, yeah, not really a whole lot of negatives you can throw their way really.
Yeah, I mean, they are the standout story in the Premier League this season. They are top of the table, and they absolutely destroyed Spurs in the North London derby last weekend. They beat them 4-1. Very, very good performance. I think they face Chelsea this weekend at Stamford Bridge. Some would argue that it's a top of the table clash that could either extend their lead or tighten the race. But let's see. I mean, I still think City will be there or thereabouts. I know they stumbled a bit against Newcastle last weekend, but City will be there. But I think Arsenal now, they have a lot of experience of being at the top of the table over the last few seasons, and this will stand them in good stead. And um, you perhaps don't expect City and Chelsea to have that level of consistency perhaps this season to sort of get to where they need to be if they want to win the league. Liverpool have clearly fallen away. It is possible that if they go on a good run and sort of string together, a decent set of wins, they could be close to sort of the top of the table again. But Arsenal are the informed team in the Premier League. There's no doubt about it. And a lot of
Yeah.
credit is due to them. A lot of credit.
I think previous seasons might help as well. I mean, sometimes I do think sometimes you've got to lose a league to know how to win it.
Mm.
So yeah, this will be where that comes into play. A little bit of know-how, a little bit of previous experience,
Yeah.
and knowing what pitfalls to avoid on the way.
Yeah. Well, there you have it, everyone. Roughly as many arguments as a Fantasy Football League group chat on Sunday night. We will, of course, keep an eye on these stories in the weeks ahead. Speaking of fantasy football, let's move on to our second segment. So, all of you, as you know, we provide fantasy football tips for the weekend ahead. Mark, over to you.
Well, I mean, the big news is I got to win. I got to win in our head-to-head league. So yeah, I would have said yeah, have a bit of that Haaland FC, but turns out the other player didn't have Haaland. So there we go. But I fully expect the next player to have Haaland, in which case I could really do with a Leeds clean sheet here.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a look at the matches. I think there's a few which stand out in terms of points. So City play Leeds. City at home, you would expect them to be heavy favourites. In polite terms, we can expect attacking returns and Haaland, maybe even worth a triple captain. But we always talk about Haaland every week in this section. He's the informed player
Well, I
in
mean,
the
one of
league.
us.
Oh, well, um, okay. And after that, we have Brentford versus Burnley. So Brentford have been really strong at home this season. They are putting together good runs from the home stadium, and Burnley are struggling a little bit in terms of defence, especially away from home. So for Brentford, the player to watch out for is Thiago. He was injured, I think, for a lot of last season, but he's playing well this season. He might be one to put in. Spurs versus Fulham is next. So Spurs look to bounce back after the derby defeat against Arsenal. And Fulham are always a bit vulnerable away, I think. And West Ham versus Liverpool. I know we've spoken a bit about Liverpool, but you sent me a message yesterday in connection with this, and it was just one line, and you just put Bowen versus Kirkes. To me, that encapsulates this fixture in a nutshell. So, yeah,
Yeah. I mean, Slot's press conference, there were hints about changes. Maybe that might be one of them. Maybe it'll be Bowen versus Robertson, but yeah,
Mhm.
we'll have to see. I think it could be an interesting team sheet, this one. I think
Let's see.
yeah, Villa versus Wolves might be worth a look.
Hmm.
Villa attacking players versus Wolves. I am tempted by Rodgers, to be honest, on this one, so
Hmm.
might
Hmm.
might be pulling the trigger on that.
Hmm. And they certainly put Leeds to the sword last weekend, didn't they? So, yeah, so playing another team that may be destined for the drop. We have spoken a lot about Wolves in recent weeks. So, good. If we move on to section three now, so the obscure facts section. This was a match that took place in January of 1994. So Barbados, they beat Grenada 4-2 after extra time in a Caribbean Cup qualifier. What was unusual about this game was that Barbados needed to win by at least 2 goals to qualify. So the tournament, they had at the time what was called a golden goal. So one goal, I believe it was scored in extra time. That would count as 2 goals, and this was purely to encourage attacking play, which was thought to be good for the fans. Well, of course it still is. Now they were leading 2-1 late on, and Barbados they deliberately scored an own goal to force extra time. And since only a golden goal could give them the 2 goal margin, it went into extra time and then they actually scored a golden goal in extra time. The tie finished 4-2 and they qualified. Now, to me, this is one of the strangest tactical exploits I've ever heard, but it worked.
I mean, it looks all kinds of dodgy, doesn't it? I think any rule that encourages you to score a goal in your own net,
Yeah.
yeah, it doesn't sit right at all. I could see totally why it got dumped. It is a bizarre quirk of the time, but they were experimenting with all sorts, weren't they? Golden goal, silver goal. This in particular, though, yeah, there's all kinds of shady going on there.
Please remind me that, Euro 96 that was held in England. Didn't Oliver Bierhoff score a golden goal to win that? Can you remember? I'm trying to remember, but or like, was it a goal scored in normal time?
Yeah, I think it was it a golden goal or was it a silver goal? There
Silver
was a
goal.
there was a point where there was a silver goal, wasn't there? Where if you could score in a period of extra time, and then if you got to the end of that period of extra time, that was it. It counted as a winner.
Hmm.
And then the golden goal finished it completely, no matter where you were in the match.
Hmm.
I can't remember which way around it was on that one. I feel like it's roundabout there. They are experimenting with both
Hmm.
of them, so it'd be in keeping with that time period. But yeah, might be worth a check on that one.
Absolutely. We now move on to the second fact. So this concerns a very, very famous goalkeeper who actually scored 131 goals. So his name was Rogério Ceni, and he was a legendary keeper for Sao Paulo in Brazil. He was the club's captain and played over 1,200 matches. So this also made him one of football's ultimate one-club men. Great career.
Amazing, isn't it? You know, I mean, goal scoring goalkeepers.
Yeah.
I remember Chilavert.
Oh yeah.
He
Yeah.
used
Yeah.
to take the direct free kicks, didn't he, for his team? And he was
Yes.
linked with the Premier League quite a few times, sort of shortly after,
Mm.
round about sort of the 90s on, mid 90s onwards.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's bizarre. But I'd love to know how he was. Was he taking the free kicks? Was he taking the penalties? Or
Well,
was he just literally going, yeah, I'm going to have a big long goal kick or jumping
well, I
up in
mean,
the penalty
well,
box?
that was the question I asked as well. So I think it came down to like free kicks. So his free kick technique was so good that he often took set pieces for the team ahead of outfield players. So hugely impressive.
Yeah, I
Hugely
mean, it makes
impressive.
sense. Keepers, they're practicing the kicking so much. Then
Hmm.
yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Dead ball specialists.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
it's risky if it goes straight into the wall and they're on the break, but
yeah.
yeah,
And I think he remains the highest scoring keeper in football history. Yeah, I mean, 131 goals is impressive. I can't see that being beaten. But
no,
yeah,
no. I mean, what's that? Schmeichel's on what? Two, three? Allison's on one.
Allison's on one. Yeah.
Chilavert did get quite high because he did take a lot of free kicks, but
Yes. Yeah.
yeah, 130. That might be one that doesn't get beaten for a while.
Mm. We now move on to our third obscure fact, and we are going back to the supernatural for this one, and this is a cracker. So, the Estadio do Dragão Stadium, the home of FC Porto, it's a story from there. So, in 2012, FC Porto defeated Paris Saint-Germain in a Champions League match at the Estadio do Dragão. James Rodriguez scored the only goal of the game, and he ran over to celebrate with the Porto fans. Amidst these celebrations, it looked like there was a ghost celebrating there too. So there's a famous published photo which appeared, and what's seen is the shadow of a man who was wearing clothes from the mid 1900s. So the Portuguese press they dubbed it the Ghost of the Dragão, and rumours quickly spread that the stadium was indeed haunted. There you go.
It's very spooky. I mean, I've seen the photograph,
Mm,
and yeah, it's a suit. It's like looking at a guy from 100 years plus ago
mm,
wearing a suit at the stadium. It's completely not in keeping
mm,
with the rest of the crowd.
mm,
I think the thing that adds a little bit more legitimacy to the picture or the effect is it's taken by a photographer for the Associated Press. I think
Hence
Paulo
we
Duarte.
hence we are hesitant to like put it on display here.
We're
But for those
absolutely
of you
not putting it
watching,
on
if
display here. Yeah,
but like those of you watching, if you want to go and have a look, you can do.
yeah.
Sorry, Mark,
But
please go
the
on.
Associated Press, they've got some very strict rules about what can and can't be done for photos for manipulation or or enhancing. So yeah, it's not like it's some just random person just going, oh yeah, I've taken a photograph and I've had a little bit of a play around in the dark room or mess around on the computer, put a ghost in. This is Associated Press. They can't do that.
So
It'd be interesting to see what his take on it was. And the person that's in the crowd next to, did they remember being sat next to an old guy in a suit?
Well, everyone, that's all we have time for this week. Until the next time, keep the faith and don't forget to like and subscribe to our channels. We are on X, YouTube, and Spotify. And do get involved on social media if you are so inclined. We are back sometime next week with more TMTG goodness. Till the next time, until all are one.